What if the single most important photograph in the history of humankind was untaken by a billion-dollar space telescope orbiting 1 million miles from Earth, but by a regular person, a guy in his backyard with a passion for the stars? What if the evidence that could rewrite everything we know about our place in the universe didn't come from a pristine NASA data feed, but landed unceremoniously on social media raw and unfiltered for all the world to see? That's not a hypothetical question anymore, because on October 20th, 2025, that's exactly what happened. And the image that appeared on our screens is the reason we're talking today. It is the reason that a cold knot of fear and wonder is tightening in the stomachs of astronomers and governments around the globe. And it's the reason the next few days might be the most consequential in the story of our species. Let's begin with the photograph itself, the grain of sand that has started an avalanche of questions. On October 20th, username Dobsonian Power, a name that speaks to the heart of amateur astronomy, uploaded a picture to a small online forum. This wasn't some polished, color-corrected masterpiece from the Hubble archives. It was raw, unprocessed, the digital equivalent of a freshly developed Polaroid, with all its imperfections and all its undeniable truth. The user had pointed their solar telescope, a specialized piece of equipment designed to filter out the sun's overwhelming glare, at a very specific set of coordinates: 13 hours, 48 minutes, 57.33 seconds, 8 degrees, 25 minutes, 54.3 seconds. For those of us who have been tracking this story, those numbers are seared into our minds. They are the exact calculated position of the interstellar object designated 3I Atlas. Now, for months, the official narrative has been simple. 3I Atlas is a comet. A very large, very strange comet from another star system. Yes, but a comet nonetheless. A dirty snowball of ice, rock, and dust, minding its own business on a long fall toward our sun. And we know what comets do when they get this close to a star. It's not a mystery, it's fundamental physics, as reliable as gravity itself. The sun's radiation heats the comet's surface. The ice doesn't melt, it sublimates, turning directly from a solid into a gas. This outgassing creates a fuzzy, glowing atmosphere around the nucleus called a coma. Then, the solar wind, a constant stream of charged particles blowing from the sun at 1 million miles per hour, pushes that gas and dust away, creating a magnificent tail. Think of it like a flag in a hurricane. The wind always blows away from the storm's center. A comet's tail always points away from the sun. It is not an optional feature. It is a physical certainty. But that's not what Dobsonian Power's photograph showed us. There, in the stark, inverted colors of the solar image, was an object that was breaking every rule. First, and most jarringly, there was no tail. None. At a distance where 3I Atlas should have been sporting a spectacular, miles-long plume, there was a void. The massive, hazy coma that should have been the most prominent feature was also missing. Instead, the image revealed something far more focused, far more structured, and far more disturbing. Pointing directly at the sun was a bright, concentrated jet. The user described it as a heated shield, a perfect visceral description for this impossible feature. This wasn't the chaotic, diffuse spray of a natural object being boiled by a star. This looked controlled, directional. It was as if the object was actively pushing back against the sun's energy, not passively surrendering to it. The nucleus itself was a dark, well-defined shape against the faint background. This is normal for this type of inverted imaging. Bright objects appear dark. But what wasn't normal was its starkness. There was no fuzzy transition, no gentle fading into a surrounding cloud. There was the nucleus, the forward-facing jet, and off to one side, a small contained cone-shaped puff of gas. It was nothing like the majestic, sprawling envelope that should have been there. It looked less like a natural phenomenon and more like a discharge, an emission, an exhaust. This single image captured by an enthusiast, presents a profound challenge. It forces us to confront a deeply uncomfortable possibility, that our fundamental assumptions about this object are wrong. It's a powerful lesson, not just in astronomy, but in life. How often do we operate on a set of assumptions, a story we've been told or have told ourselves, about a person, a situation, or even ourselves? We build our expectations on this foundation, and then one day, a single piece of raw, unprocessed evidence appears. An unguarded comment, an unexpected action, a moment of pure honesty that shatters the entire narrative. The tale we expected to see isn't there. A shield we never imagined is pointing in the wrong direction. In those moments, we have a choice. We can dismiss the evidence as an anomaly, an artifact, a mistake, and cling to our comfortable model of reality. Or we can do what good science and good sense demands. We can stop, take a breath, and have the courage to ask, what are we actually looking at? That photograph from a backyard telescope is humanity's moment to ask that very question. That shocking image didn't appear in a vacuum. It was the capstone on a mountain of anomalies that has been building for months, a series of red flags that suggest 3I Atlas is something far stranger than a simple interstellar comet. When you look at these clues stacked together, the picture they paint is deeply unsettling. It's like being a detective at a crime scene where every piece of evidence, individually, could be explained away, but collectively, they point to a single, unbelievable conclusion. Let's start with its chemical fingerprint, its very composition. In August 2025, astronomers at the Keck 2 Observatory in Hawaii, one of the most powerful telescopes on Earth, performed a spectroscopic analysis of the object. This is essentially putting the light from the comet through a prism to see what elements are present in the gas surrounding it. What they found was an industrial signature, plain and simple. They detected a clear emission line for pure nickel. Now, nickel itself isn't the surprise. It's found in comets. The shock was what was missing. Iron. In nature, nickel and iron are cosmic brothers. They are forged together in the hearts of dying stars and are almost always found together in celestial bodies. To find pure nickel without a corresponding trace of iron is, in the natural world, virtually unheard of. On Earth, however, we have a process for this. It's called the Mond process, or the Carbonell process. It's an advanced industrial refining technique we use to create high-purity nickel for specialized applications. Things that need to withstand incredible heat and stress, like jet turbine blades, nuclear reactor components, and the Inconel alloys used in SpaceX's rocket engines. The data from Keck 2 showed the spectroscopic signature of a material that, by all we know, should only exist as the product of deliberate, intelligent manufacturing. It was the equivalent of finding a stainless steel fork in a sealed Egyptian tomb. It simply shouldn't be there. Then there's the trajectory. Think of our solar system as a flat disk, like a vinyl record. All the planets orbit the Sun in roughly the same plane, called the ecliptic. Interstellar objects, visitors from other star systems, should arrive from random directions, from above the record, below it, at any odd angle. The odds of one arriving perfectly aligned with the flat plane of the ecliptic are incredibly low, around 0.2%. Yet that is precisely how 3I Atlas arrived. It's traveling on the cosmic equivalent of a paved superhighway that connects all the major planets. If you were an engineer designing an interplanetary probe and wanted to visit multiple targets with the least amount of energy, you would choose this exact trajectory. For it to happen by chance is statistically possible, but it's a staggering coincidence. The anomalies continue. There is its sheer size. Our first interstellar visitor, the bizarre cigar-shaped object named Oumuamua, was tiny, perhaps a few hundred meters long. Based on our models of how solar systems eject material, we should have detected thousands of Oumuamua-sized objects before ever finding one as massive as 3I Atlas, which is estimated to be over 5 kilometers in diameter, 1 million times more massive. It's like panning for gold for years, finding only tiny flecks, and then one day pulling out a solid gold boulder the size of a car. It breaks the expected distribution. It suggests this object isn't part of a random sample. And where did this object come from? Its origin point in the sky traces back to a region just 9 degrees away from the source of the famous 1977 "Wow" signal. For 72 seconds that summer, a radio telescope in Ohio picked up a powerful narrowband signal that bore all the hallmarks of an artificial extraterrestrial transmission. It has never been repeated and never been explained. For our most mysterious interstellar object to originate from the same patch of sky as our most mysterious interstellar signal is yet another coincidence that strains credulity. This trail of anomalies teaches us something crucial about recognizing patterns. In our daily lives, we're constantly bombarded with information. A single strange event can be dismissed. A coincidence can be laughed off. But when the anomalies start to stack up, when the weird phone call is followed by the strange email, which is followed by the unexpected visitor, we are forced to reconsider our initial assumption that nothing is going on. We have to start connecting the dots. The scientific community is trained to be skeptical, to demand extraordinary evidence for extraordinary claims. But there is a point where the refusal to connect the dots is no longer skepticism. It is willful ignorance. With 3i Atlas, we are at that point. The evidence is piling up, and it's telling us that this is no ordinary visitor. Just as the world was grappling with the implications of the amateur's solar telescope image, a second, even more provocative piece of visual evidence surfaced. This time, it wasn't a static photograph but deep space footage, posted by a user named B.G. Gates. The video showed a bright, distinctly elongated object moving against the backdrop of distant stars. The caption was blunt: "Latest imagery of the Comet 3i Atlas. Just one problem. It doesn't look anything like a comet." And it was right. It didn't. What the footage revealed was a form so structured, so geometric, that it triggered our deepest instincts for pattern recognition. This was not the irregular, potato-shaped rock we expect a comet nucleus to be. It was linear, with defined edges, and a smooth, graduated brightness along its length that looked less like reflected sunlight bouncing off a rough surface, and more like something that was self-illuminated. It looked manufactured. Viewers, independently of one another, began using the same word to describe it: mothership. That word is loaded, of course, steeped in decades of science fiction. But it captures the visceral reaction the footage provokes. It looks like something built, something with an interior, something with a purpose. This visual evidence, combined with the trail of other anomalies, sets the stage for the most speculative and potentially the most terrifying piece of the puzzle: the claim of a deliberate message. On October 13, 2025, a date of immense significance, being the 108th anniversary of the Miracle of the Sun at Fatima, Portugal, a researcher named David Sarita reported observing structured light pulses emanating from 3i Atlas. He claimed the pulses weren't random flickers of light but a clear, repeating pattern. 5 pulses, then 8, then 13. 3 consecutive numbers in the Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence is the universe's own source code. It's a mathematical pattern where each number is the sum of the 2 preceding it: 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. We see it everywhere in nature, from the spiral of a galaxy to the petals of a flower, the branching of a tree, and the structure of a nautilus shell. It is the signature of organic growth and optimal design. To find this sequence in a series of light pulses from a celestial object would be prima facie evidence of intelligence. It's a universal greeting card, a way of saying, we understand the fundamental mathematics of the cosmos. We are like you. This claim, it must be said, is unconfirmed. It comes from a single observer, and science rightly demands corroboration. but it is amplified by another dark whisper circulating in the community. The rumor that on that very same day, October 13th, key observatories went mysteriously offline. The claim is that NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, SDO, our primary eye on the Sun, suddenly ceased its public data transmissions. If true, this would be an unbelievable coincidence. The very instrument needed to verify or debunk the Fibonacci pulse claim going dark at the critical moment. This is where the story of Three-Eye Atlas becomes a profound lesson in navigating information and belief. We are faced with a spectrum of evidence. On one end, we have hard, peer-reviewed data, like the nickel without iron signature. On the other end, we have uncorroborated but compelling claims, like the Fibonacci pulses and the observatory shutdowns. How do we process this? This is a challenge we all face daily. We are flooded with information, from official sources to anonymous accounts online. We must constantly decide what to believe, who to trust, and how to separate credible evidence from compelling conspiracy. The story of Three-Eye Atlas is a microcosm of this struggle. Do we dismiss the claims of a message out of hand because they sound too much like science fiction? Or do we acknowledge them as unverified but important data points in a growing mystery? The lesson here is to hold both possibilities in our minds, to maintain a healthy skepticism without closing our minds entirely. We must learn to live in the uncomfortable space between knowing and not knowing, because it is in that very space that the most profound truths are often found. And now, we arrive at today. At this very moment, as I speak and as you listen, Three-Eye Atlas is in the one place in the entire solar system where we absolutely cannot see it. It has entered solar conjunction, positioning itself directly on the opposite side of the Sun from Earth. Draw a straight line from our planet, through the heart of our star, and out into the void beyond. That is where the object currently resides, hidden behind a blinding curtain of 149 million kilometers of incandescent plasma. This is not a matter of debate. It's a simple fact of orbital mechanics. But the timing is so precise, so poetically convenient, that it feels less like a coincidence and more like a deliberate tactical maneuver. For the next several days, during the most critical phase of its journey into our inner solar system, we are completely blind. Our most powerful telescopes are useless. The sun's overwhelming glare would fry their sensitive instruments. We have no way of knowing what is happening over there. Is it breaking apart under the intense heat and gravity? Is it outgassing violently, as a comet should? Or is it doing something else entirely? This period of blindness culminates on October 29th. That is the date of perihelion, the moment Three-Eye Atlas makes its closest and fastest approach to the Sun. And this is where the work of Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb becomes so critically important. Loeb has pointed out that perihelion is the perfect moment for a technological spacecraft to execute something called an Oberth maneuver. In astronautics, the Oberth effect states that a rocket engine burn is most efficient at changing a craft's energy when it is traveling at its highest velocity. Think of pushing a child on a swing. A small push given at the very bottom of the arc, where the swing is moving fastest, adds a tremendous amount of height and energy. The same push given at the peak of the arc, where the swing is momentarily still, does very little. Perihelion is the bottom of the swing. On October 29th, accelerated by the Sun's immense gravity, Three-Eye Atlas will be moving faster than at any other point in its journey. Any thrust applied at that moment, whether from a conventional rocket engine or something far more advanced, will have a magnified effect, allowing for a massive change in trajectory or the deployment of smaller probes with maximum efficiency. And it will happen during the exact window when we are completely unable to watch. It is, from a mission planning perspective, perfect. You execute your primary maneuver while the civilization you are observing is looking the other way. Let's contemplate the sheer power at play. At perihelion, Three-Eye Atlas will be bombarded with over 18 gigawatts of solar energy. That is more power than a dozen nuclear power plants combined. A natural comet would simply absorb this energy chaotically, boiling and shedding material in a brilliant, uncontrolled display. But a technological object could harness it. It could recharge systems that have been dormant for a millennia-long journey. It could power up weapons, communications arrays, or propulsion systems. It could use that immense energy to deploy sub-probes, as Avi Loeb has suggested it might. This perfect hiding spot offers a powerful metaphor for the challenges we face in our own lives. Often, the most significant transformations and the most critical decisions happen out of sight, in the blind spots. A person might retreat from view to deal with a personal crisis, only to re-emerge later, fundamentally changed. A company might go through a quiet period of internal restructuring, invisible to the outside world, before launching a revolutionary new product. What this moment with 3i Atlas teaches us is the importance of paying attention to what happens after the blind spot. We cannot see what is happening right now, but we can and we must be ready to observe what emerges from the other side. The aftermath will tell the story. Our preparedness to witness and understand that aftermath will determine our future. We are waiting. The world is waiting. And on the other side of the sun, something is about to happen. With the object hidden and perihelion fast approaching, we are forced to move from observation to speculation. If 3i Atlas is not a comet, what is it? The possibilities are as vast as the cosmos itself, and they span the full spectrum of human hope and fear. Thinking through these scenarios is not just an exercise in science fiction. It is an exploration of our own psychology, a mirror reflecting what we believe is possible for intelligence, both ours and others. Let's begin with the most optimistic scenarios, the ones that align with our deepest hopes for a benevolent universe. It could be a scientific embassy, a probe sent not to conquer or observe passively, but to share. Imagine it contains the accumulated knowledge of a civilization millions of years older than our own, solutions to energy, disease, poverty, the secrets of faster-than-light travel, a complete understanding of physics. It could be a gift, a cosmic helping hand extended to a young species poised on the brink of either greatness or self-destruction. In this scenario, first contact would be gentle, a carefully managed dialogue designed to uplift, not overwhelm. Or perhaps it's a planetary protector. Maybe its arrival has nothing to do with us, and everything to do with a threat we haven't yet detected. A rogue black hole, a gamma-ray burst, an inbound asteroid swarm. The probe could be an ancient warning system, an automated guardian designed to alert nascent civilizations to cosmic dangers, giving them a fighting chance to survive. Its purpose wouldn't be contact but preservation. Then there are the neutral scenarios, where the object's purpose is entirely indifferent to our existence. It could be a way station, a piece of a vast interstellar infrastructure, like a remote automated gas station and repair shop on a galactic highway. We just happen to live near an off-ramp. Its actions at perihelion might be nothing more than routine refueling and maintenance before it goes dormant again, waiting for the next traveler. In this vision, we are not the destination. We are merely part of the scenery. Or it could be an ancient relic, a time capsule from a civilization that died out billions of years ago. A ghost ship still following its final programming, an archaeological treasure of unimaginable value, but with no living intelligence behind the wheel. And then we must confront the dark possibilities, the scenarios drawn from our deepest fears. This is the dark forest hypothesis, named after the chilling concept from Liu Cixin's science fiction novels. The theory posits that the universe is like a dark forest full of silent hunters. Every civilization is a potential threat, and the only logical survival strategy is to stay hidden, and, if you detect another civilization, eliminate it before it can eliminate you. In this terrifying logic, 3i Atlas could be a berserker probe. Its mission: to find and exterminate any potential competition. Its apparent lack of a tail could be stealth. Its trajectory, a targeting solution. Its actions at perihelion, the final arming sequence before it deploys kinetic weapons or an engineered plague. A less dramatic but equally horrifying scenario is resource extraction. Earth is rich in water, rare metals, and complex organic compounds. The probe might be a surveyor sent to assess our system's value. If the assessment is positive, what follows would not be an invasion in the military sense, but an industrial operation. We wouldn't be the enemy. We would be the inconvenient ants, whose nest is in the way of the foundation for a new building. Our extinction would be a regrettable but necessary externality of a cosmic construction project. Contemplating these scenarios forces a profound moment of self-reflection. Each one is a mirror. The benevolent scenarios reflect our hopes for wisdom and compassion. The hostile ones reflect our fears of our own worst tendencies, our history of conquest, exploitation, and preemptive violence. The neutral scenarios reflect our existential anxiety about being small and insignificant in a vast, uncaring cosmos. The story of 3I Atlas is not just about a potential alien visitor. It is about us. It's a global Rorschach test. What we see in this mysterious object says as much about our own nature as it does about its potential origin. It compels us to ask, if we were the ones arriving at a new inhabited world, which of these scenarios would we enact? The answer to that question might be the most important discovery of all. We are no longer in the realm of endless speculation. We are in the final countdown. We have a timeline, a series of critical dates where our blindness will end and data will begin to flow once more. This is the schedule for what could be the most important weeks in human history. On October 29th, hidden behind the sun, 3I Atlas reaches perihelion. This is the moment of maximum stress, maximum energy, and maximum opportunity. Whatever its nature, it will be revealed here. A fragile comet may break apart. A technological craft may execute its primary maneuver. In early November, as the object begins to emerge from behind the sun, spacecraft like Europe's JUICE mission, which will be in a prime position for a relatively close-up look, will give us our first glimpse of the aftermath. Is it intact? Has its shape changed? And most critically, is it alone? This is when we will hunt for evidence of deployed mini-probes. From November through December, the object will become visible again to our powerful Earth-based telescopes. This is when the global scientific community will work around the clock, tracking its brightness, its trajectory, and its chemical signature. We will compare the after picture to the before picture, looking for any deviation from the expected behavior of a natural comet. On December 19th, 3I Atlas will make its closest approach to Earth. While still at a very safe distance, this is our golden opportunity. Our radio telescopes will be listening with unprecedented focus for any artificial signals, any whisper of communication. If there is a message, this is the most logical time for it to be sent. This timeline is a ticking clock, and as it counts down, it offers us a final, profound set of lessons that we can apply to our own lives, right here, right now, regardless of the outcome. First is the lesson of the signal in the noise. This entire saga is an object lesson in critical thinking. We are surrounded by data, from hard facts to wild speculation. The challenge is to hold all of it, to evaluate it with a clear and open mind, to resist the urge to jump to comfortable conclusions, and to have the courage to follow the evidence wherever it leads. In your own life, when you face a complex problem or a confusing situation, practice this. Gather all the information, even the parts that don't fit your preferred narrative. Ask the hard questions. Learn to distinguish what is proven from what is merely plausible, and what is plausible from what is pure noise. This skill is your greatest defense against deception, and your greatest tool for finding the truth. Second is the lesson of embracing the void. For these next few days, We are living in a state of profound uncertainty. We are in the blind spot. We simply do not know what is happening on the other side of the sun. This is a feeling we all experience in our lives, waiting for medical test results, for a job interview callback, for the resolution of a conflict. It is the agony of the unknown. The lesson of 3i Atlas is not to fear this void, but to respect it. It is to learn how to be calm in the face of uncertainty, to prepare for multiple outcomes without being paralyzed by fear. It teaches us that we cannot control everything, but we can control our response. We can choose to be rational, to be prepared, and to face the future, whatever it holds, with courage and grace. And finally, there is the lesson of the view from orbit. More than anything else, this event has the power to unite us. When you are contemplating the possibility of an intelligence that has crossed the gulf between stars, the petty squabbles and divisions on our own small planet seem utterly insignificant. 3i Atlas holds up a mirror and forces us to see ourselves not as members of different nations, religions, or tribes, but as a single, fragile species sharing a beautiful blue marble in an immense cosmic ocean. Whether this visitor turns out to be a rock or a starship, the perspective it grants us is a gift. Let us hold on to that perspective. Let us remember that we are all in this together, facing the great unknown as one people. So, as we wait for the coming days, I ask you to think about these things. What do you believe we are looking at? And more importantly, who do you believe we should be in the face of it? Thank you for joining me on this journey. Please, stay safe, keep looking up, and be well. If you find this exploration of the unknown as vital as I do, please like this video and subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss any updates as this incredible story unfolds. The next few days will change everything. Let's be ready.